Challenger Muhammadi, what do you expect in this fight?
Well, you know, every time Sergey Kovalev gets in the ring, we know we're in for a lot of action. Muhammadi has a very come forward, almost throws caution to the wind style, and we know Sergey is going to be winging punches. So I think we should expect a knockout.
Now, is the goal to set up another rematch with Pascal, and that's why he's on the undercard, or we're just seeing what we can get out of this card and see could we possibly have another opponent for Kovalev in the future?
Well, I think that the Pascal rematch is something that's bound to happen at some time. So we work closely with Pascal's promoters over at Interbox, and we decided to keep them on the cards together, keep them working together, because I do think in the foreseeable future we will see that rematch.
So now, what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made main events and seen Kovalev pull out of the purse bid with Adonis Stevenson? And is that fight still on the horizon for the boxing fans?
No, I'd like to hope that fight's still on the horizon. The fact is that when we asked for the mandatory, boxing landscape was very different. Things have changed dramatically, and because of the shift in the landscape, our alliance with HBO became so much more important than it had even been before. Not that it wasn't important before, but the fact is HBO is the only company I can deal with. So we had to solidify our relationship with HBO. Once the boxing landscape changed somewhere around January or February, we had asked for this mandatory back in December when we were living in a different world. So we made the decision we had to make. They made a good move, well played. But the fact is, Sergey has 3 belts. We want the fight. I made an offer to Stevenson's promoter, Yvonne Michel. 50-50 will come to Canada. Sergey has 3 belts. You know, you can only bend over so much. So we want the fight. We will go and do it if they want to do it. Adonis Stevenson's getting ready to celebrate his 38th birthday in September, I believe. If he wants to go down in history as the guy who jucked Sergey Kovalev, I guess he can. Or they can come to the table and make a deal with us.
Now, you're saying you're offering 50-50 for this fight, but what network does it have to take place on?
Well, you know, it's probably a pay-per-view fight. And yes, Sergey has a contract with HBO. Again, we made a decision after the boxing landscape changed, where we had nowhere else to go but HBO, to solidify our relationship with HBO. We had no choice. It was the best move. And at some point in the future, when the landscape changes again, Sergey's going to be sitting there with a guaranteed contract, and a lot of other guys aren't going to be.
Speaking of landscape changing, you got obviously Al Haymon getting all the light heavyweights. Is it becoming more and more difficult to find opponents for Sergey Kovalev now that Haymon has signed guys like Chad Dawson and Thomas Williams, and he just signed Arthur Beterbiev, and you know, just basically about everyone that has been left over?
Well, you said it, leftover. We don't need to fight leftovers. The fact is, at some point when Al Haymon runs out of money, all those guys are going to be available again.
Now, speaking of money, you were the first to put your big girl pants on and do a lawsuit with Al Haymon, but you pulled out of it. Now that you see Golden Boy and Top Rank both with one $300 million suit and another with a $100 million lawsuit, is Kathy Duva Main Events going to, I guess, bring back that lawsuit? Are you still upset of the quote-unquote illegal tactics that Haymon is using to push PBC forward?
I believe his tactics are quite anti-competitive, and I believe that both the Top Rank and Golden Boy lawsuits do a pretty good job of laying that out. We reserve our rights to do that. The suit that we brought was brought on very different grounds, and when we made the fight with Hopkins, we no longer had the damages that you need to have to bring a lawsuit, and that was why we had to withdraw it. Our lawsuit was predicated on the idea that they pulled out of the Kovalev fight so that they could fight Hopkins. When we fought Hopkins, obviously that killed the theory behind that lawsuit, and that's why we dropped it. We basically got what we wanted. So is there another cause of action based on the antitrust violations that we believe are taking place? Absolutely, and we reserve all of our rights to do that at some future time.
One last topic before we let you go. You just recently re-signed Curtis Stevens, an exciting middleweight. What could we expect with him again, or is there a possible Hassan and Dam rematch for Curtis Stevens? What does Main Events have planned for Curtis Stevens?
At At the moment, you know, he's still in demand over at BKB. They pay very well, and so we're going to talk to them and see if we can bring him back there. I talk to HBO about him all the time. There are a lot of interesting middleweight fights that he can be in, and the thing about Curtis is, you know, he always brings it. It's always fun. So I think the middleweight division is becoming one of the more interesting ones in the sport, and he'll be a factor in it one way or another.
Well, thank you, Kathy. We hope you enjoy the night here, and we wish you the best this next Saturday with Kovalev.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. Tune in, HBO, 10 p.m. Saturday night.
Thank you very much.